We help businesses take payments. And one of the first things that business owners ask us is, which of your payment devices should I get? Well, in this video, we're gonna do a deep dive on the differences between the two credit card machines that we offer here at Helcim, the Helcim Smart Terminal and the Helcim Card Reader. Now, some of you may have already seen what these look like and how much they cost on our website, but this video is here to help you understand which of these devices actually fits into your business's unique workflow. We'll be talking to some real folks here at Helcim about which device they choose for a specific type of business, and we'll even show you a third path that requires no hardware at all. By the end of this, you'll be ready to make a decision once and for all of how you'll take in-person payments for your business. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Now, a good starting point is to actually talk about what these two devices have in common. So for starters, both of them run on a Helcim merchant account, which means that if you get either of these, you'll get access to our transparent pricing model. This is the thing that we're known for. So if you're a growing business and you use either of these terminals, you're likely going to save money on transaction fees. Secondly, both these devices can accept tap and chip transactions from all the major cards here in North America. So that includes Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, and debit cards as well. So Interac here in Canada and PIN debit in the United States. Both these terminals are wireless, which means there's no cords tethering you to a cash register or a computer. What's even cooler is that they both can connect to Wi-Fi and mobile data. And so both of these devices come with a SIM card installed to make sure that you don't have any interruptions in your internet connection when you're doing a day of sales. Both these devices also support surcharging, which is a cool way that you can actually bypass paying transaction fees altogether on credit cards. So what you're doing essentially is toggling on something called Helcim Fee Saver, and that lets you pass on your credit card fees to your customers to pay. And then lastly, as you've probably seen, both of these are touchscreen based, which means that they're quite sleek. They're not those old-fashioned terminals that you've seen with the clunky buttons and that low quality LED screen. Now that we know how these terminals are alike, let's get into the differences. And so first and foremost, and probably the most obvious, is the size. So the Smart Terminal has a 6.7-inch screen, which makes it considerably bigger than the 4-inch screen card reader. So what does this mean for you? Well, depending on how portable you need your payment device to be, it might sway you in one direction or the other. The Smart Terminal can fit inside of a work bag, whereas the card reader can fit inside of one of your pant pockets. It's more discreet. And so if your business requires you to be on the road, going from place to place, well then the card reader might be the better option because it can fit practically almost everywhere. The next difference is in receipt printing. So the Smart Terminal has an onboard printer with a roll of receipt paper inside of it. And so this means once your transactions are done, you can print a receipt directly from the Smart Terminal. The card reader doesn't have a receipt printer, but you can still rely on it to generate digital receipts. So you can text or email a receipt to your customers after each transaction. So earlier I mentioned that both these devices can accept any major payment method. And that's true, but there's a nuance here. The Smart Terminal can accept an additional payment method that's relevant for healthcare businesses. That's right, I'm talking about HSA and FSA cards. So these are the employer-issued cards that people can use to pay for their medical expenses with a pre-tax expense account. The thing with these cards is most of them don't have chips yet, and so you need a swipe reader in order to read them. Well, the Smart Terminal has one of those readers underneath the chip reader. And so if you're a healthcare business, then you're gonna want the Smart Terminal over the card reader so that you don't have to turn patients away who want to use these cards. Now, as of the making of this video in April of 2026, the card reader actually needs to be paired with another device in order to accept payments. What this means is you'll have the Helcim Point of Sale app open either on your computer, a tablet, or your phone. You'll type in the payment amount from that device, which then sends the payment amount to the card reader to finish the payment. Now the Smart Terminal can also be paired, but only with computers, not mobile phones or tablets. And so again, you can initiate a payment from a computer, send it to the Smart Terminal, and it can act as the receiver of that credit card. But typically, the Smart Terminal is used as a standalone payment device. So everything you need is actually programmed into the terminal. So you can initiate payments from the POS window, you can go over to your Items tab and select a pre-saved product to pay for. You can actually see your transaction records, your sales charts, and access a few other business tools directly from this device itself. There's just a lot more versatility in what you can do on this terminal. And so if you want something more high-powered like this for your business, well then the smart terminal is for you. Now I will say that our product team is working on building a standalone functionality for the card reader, and so that's something to also consider if you're not planning on purchasing hardware right away. Now let's talk about the price difference between these two devices. The smart terminal is $429 Canadian or $349 USD. The card reader is $239 Canadian or $199 USD. Now, having gone through all the other comparison factors first, you can probably make a value judgment at this point on which terminal is worth it for you. But before you make up your mind, it might be good to hear from some other people. Let's go find out which of these payment devices my colleagues here at Helcim would choose. So the premise of this is I'm gonna show you some pictures of some real business owners. We have the smart terminal and the card reader, and I want you to tell me which one you think would work best for their business. Number one, Furnace Tech.
I would say card reader. Like they probably just have a lot of bags of equipment.
Yeah.
And they need something durable that they can just throw in.
Obviously, I would go for the card reader because you can connect your mobile phone to a card reader. It's mobile, so for someone who's going into like different houses and different establishments, I think this would really work best.
It could go either way actually, but for them I would say smart terminal. I think it's just like established business and they have their practice there. They're not gonna be going around with the terminal, so I think the smart terminal would be the best choice for them.
There's a key word here, insurance and HSA cards. In order for you to accept HSA cards, you need the smart terminal.
Law firm, okay. I would say card reader. I think why the card reader works for them is because they don't take payments that often and they're always at the desk, so they can just have it set up with the Helcim POS on their laptop and just send payments directly to the card reader.
Okay, law firm. Okay, here I would actually pick smart terminal. Yeah, because it's like a more standalone terminal they would use all the time. And yeah, I think it's the most reliable option for this kind of business.
Oil change, auto shop.
Throwing around the payment terminal, that would be a card reader again. Card readers, they have a touch screen and they're smaller, so easier to wipe off the oil.
Last question.
Yeah.
What payment terminal would you get for your business?
The smart terminal, because it's beautiful.
Oh, you're back. Okay, so one thing we haven't talked about yet is actually a third way to take payments besides getting these terminals, and that's with your phone. So in the regions where it's available, you can actually use what's called Tap to Pay on iPhone. This is where you download the Helcim app onto your phone and then use the phone's built-in NFC chip to accept a contactless credit card payment. This is a really quick way to get started and take your first payment without even investing a single dime in additional payment hardware. Now there are limitations to this. I mean, for starters, it's not available in Canada yet, but then also it's good to remember that these devices were built specifically to take payments and generally have a higher success rate with a larger variety of cards. But it is good to know that the phone is always here for you in case you need it. So, did this video help you make a decision? If so, let me know in the comments below. But regardless, let me leave you with this. Just remember that payment hardware is just an extension of a bigger choice you're making, which is your choice in payment processor. Because we all know that the sleekest payment terminal won't make much of a difference if that payment processor is consistently skimming your margins, resulting in thousands of dollars of additional losses every single year. And so yes, you should be discerning on which payment device fits your business the best. But the biggest decision you'll make is going with a transparent payment processor that actually works to save you money on fees instead of the other way around. All right, it's time to hand it off to you. I've left the links to each of these payment terminals in the description below for you if you want to learn more. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Victor from Helcim, and happy processing.